Welcome to the collection of the wildest and craziest AITA Reddit stories of all time. From wild betrayals to shocking twists, these tales will leave you questioning who is really in the wrong. Let's dive in together. The first story for this collection is from Champ Any Weather 13. AITA for choosing a secret sperm donor to have a baby instead of finding a partner? I am 28 years old. I've been single for the better part of 5 years. I have tried dating but haven't had much luck. For me, dating is very bittersweet. I thought I was going to be married by now. I thought I was going to have a child by now. My last boyfriend died when I was 24. I don't ever talk about it unless it's with my therapist because it's a sore subject on so many points. I thought I was going to be married to him. I thought I was going to have kids soon. It all got ripped away so quickly when he passed away. I feel like I've done my part. I did the therapy, I've done the staying single and working on myself. I started dating again about 2 years ago and I feel like I am so much better at healthy boundaries than I was before. But time is dragging on. All my friends are married, living with their partners, expecting or already have kids. I'm the last one standing and with my history it stings. I've been considering it for a while, but I've been thinking about using a sperm donor and just pursuing what I want. The guy can come at any time, but I never wanted to be an older mother. I wanted to be able to be active with my kids. I've even been serious about it enough to go for fertility testing. Turns out I have POS, so that's a worry. I mentioned it to my friend, Ashley, 30F, and she had an unexpected reaction. She said I was cheating, and that it was like I was taking shortcuts. That I was too young to even consider a sperm donor to have a child, and that was for married people if something was wrong with the guy. That nobody wants a single mother. I was kind of blindsided by this, and usually she is supportive. I left and we haven't talked since. Is it really so out there and bad to pursue it this way? OP is not an AH here. OP is making a personal choice about motherhood that aligns with her values and circumstances. Ashley's reaction is outdated and judgmental. Being a single mother by choice is valid, and OP shouldn't delay her dreams based on societal expectations. Let's now jump on to the next story from Rogue_Mini0N. AITA for blocking my caring male friend? A little backstory. I have a remarkably low BS tolerance, and when someone starts messing with my mental sanity, I distance myself. No dramatic exits, no flaming bridges, just a polite fade out. But only after I give them the courtesy of confrontation, because hey, maybe there's hope. But trust me, if they're being a nuisance, I'll make sure they feel that distance. Now enter Josh. A shy, supposedly kind-hearted guy I met through a really close mutual friend, Bob. Bob and Josh were besties long before I stepped into the picture, and we all went to the same high school. Josh and I had our first real conversation when Bob bailed on us one day. It was just me and this quiet, unassuming dude who, shockingly, talked to me for over an hour. So, I texted Bob after that encounter, all excited, because we had a good conversation, and you know what Bob says? He's shocked. Bob told me Josh was terrified of girls, ironic, given what follows, and that he's pretty homophobic. I'm a lesbian, and both the guys knew that. So it seemed weird that he talked to me for so long. This heart-to-heart talk was supposedly a groundbreaking event in Josh's little life. Bob told me that Josh only talks to people for so long whom he considers his close friend. I felt oddly honored. Imagine being someone's safe space during our very first interaction. Cute, right? Wrong. I just invited an avalanche. Josh started texting daily. Casual banter turned therapy sessions turned why do you know so much about me creepy. Oh, he trusted me so much. His only female friend. He confessed his traumas, anxieties, and even things he hadn't told his best friend, Bob. Flattering. Maybe. Overwhelming. Definitely. But I ignored my gut and lent him an ear because, let me be honest, I have a savior complex the size of a small country. And from here, things only went downhill. Every time I updated my profile picture, there he was. Oh, you look so pretty. Sweet, right? Nope. Try every single time. He would magically appear behind me on my way home, footsteps eerily silent, tapping me on the shoulder like some budget horror movie villain. Now see, When your friend surprises you by showing up on your way home from school, it's fun once in a while. But imagine you think you're alone and every day, someone pops up behind your back and you have no clue how they got to know you're here. One thing to note here is that it had only been a few weeks since I had known him that he started pulling all of these shenanigans. Then there were the cringe-worthy reels, the couple goals ones. The ones that made me want to bleach my brain just to forget they existed. Every single day, I got bombarded with these. Send this to someone who yappa yappa yappa. Who, Josh? Who am I supposed to send these to? Your therapist? Oh that's me. And, just when I thought I could escape, he pulled out the mirror selfies. He wanted me to rate them. Yes, rate them. Like I'm some kind of Instagram influencer reviewing his bedroom mirror angles. But wait, there's more. He wanted to know how to pose for his photos. He asked me for reference pictures of me. To say I was flabbergasted is an understatement. At this point, I'm fed up. I'm known for my sarcasm, so I tend to drop subtle, yet sharp, sarcastic remarks that, if any rational person were paying attention, would be their clear signal to stop. And shocker, Josh wasn't any rational person. Further, he randomly showed up while I was out with friends, claiming it was a coincidence. My paranoia skyrocketed to the point where I had friends scouting for him in advance. Also, Josh tried to badmouth Bob to me with some fabricated nonsense, because he knew I was closer to Bob than I was to him. Ha! As if dragging his best friend through the mud would elevate his own standing. Then he constantly gave me unsolicited validation. You're different from other girls' monologues, you lift my mood, you're special, and the list goes on. Mind you, all of this was happening while he was constantly trauma dumping. I had no problem with him ranting, it's just that his cries went from, hear me out, I need help, to, OMG look I'm such a pitiful creature, love me, choose me, pick me. I had become his personal therapist. Pro bono, of course. But there's a fine line between supporting someone and being emotionally drained. But I didn't say much because, you know, poor Josh. He's just had a tough life. I'm here to listen. Now, even though Bob and I talked about everything, I hadn't told Bob about this situation for a long while because I didn't want to mess up his relationship with him. However, when I told him what was going on, Bob was totally on my side. Fast forward to a random encounter with his parents during a festival. Knowing his parents didn't like him talking to girls, because, distraction, duh. I greeted them with the enthusiasm of a saint, just to make Josh squirm. His parents weren't thrilled about him talking to girls, so I figured, why not add some fuel to the fire? What if they make him stop talking to me? And oh, did they try? But did that stop Josh? Of course not. The guy didn't even flinch. Instead, he started complimenting me more and then insisted my parents meet him. Why? Brother, what in the arranged marriage fiasco is this? I sent all the signals. I dropped hints like they were hot potatoes. Get away from me, Josh. But Josh. Nope. Completely oblivious. One day, I decided to have enough. Why the hell was I trying to justify his actions on the grounds that perhaps it's his trauma because of which he's the way he is? His so-called mental health struggles were self-diagnosed through questionable Google searches. After countless uncomfortable situations, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to address it. So, I texted him. Calmly. Politely. I laid out my concerns. I tried to be kind because I genuinely wanted to fix this so that he realizes his mistake and doesn't continue to do this with someone else, even though deep down I knew the inevitable truth. There was no fixing this. Here's a gist of the conversation. Hey, I need to talk to you about something. Just so you know, I have no hard feelings and I value our friendship, but some things have been bothering me lately, and they feel borderline creepy. Could you please hear me out? I hope we can sort this out. What did I do? Creepy. How? Tell me. And I went on to list a few things lightly, then made it clear that if he had feelings for me, he already knew what my answer would be. He replied, Ma'am, no, I don't feel that way. I knew this day would come. I'm just not fit for this generation. People don't understand care anymore. All I do is care, and you call me creepy. So, I reminded him of an incident when he was, too caring. Like that time when I was on my period, and he was mansplaining how periods work and telling me I shouldn't work. He kept asking me how I was, getting all up in my business. On top of that, he kept texting me, telling me to sleep and take breaks because I work too much. Sure, it's sweet, but not when it's constant, especially after I told him to stop. His response was, "See? That's the problem. I can't control what my mind or mouth does. It's your fault for thinking that way. Sometimes my care becomes overbearing, and it just turns out creepy. I can't help it, it's just how I am." I tried to explain that it doesn't work like that and I feel uncomfortable with his actions. He still didn't get it. I lost my patience and finally snapped. I told him I was tired of babysitting a man-child who just wanted pity, and told him he crossed every line there was to ever exist. But Josh wasn't having it. Of course. Why would he? After all, he had so much care to give. He kept going on about being born in the wrong generation and how much he cared. He just didn't listen. I was done. So I said, "I wish I could take your head and shove it up your ass so you could finally realize how full of shit you are." After that, I stopped talking to him. I told Bob everything. He was livid. Then, shortly after the argument, Josh texted Bob, saying he needed to talk about some stuff that happened to him. Bob understood what was up. And you know how Josh started the conversation with him? He said, "Ugh, just because I complimented her once, she thinks I'm in love with her. What's wrong with her? How self-absorbed is she? You know what? I don't even want to talk about it today. I'll tell you tomorrow. Talking about her mess just ruins my mood." What a jerk. Bob didn't let him off easy. He made Josh see his mistake, but Josh didn't seem all that sorry. The next day, I got a long text from Josh apologizing, saying he wanted to make things right and would promise not to be creepy anymore. But I knew he didn't get it. The only reason he texted me was because of the conversation he had with Bob. So, I ghosted him and just sent a thumbs up the next day. A couple of days later, he showed up outside my building, trying to talk to me, but I just ignored him and walked away. If he had actually acknowledged his mistake, I would have probably kept him as an acquaintance. But now? I'm done. Blocked. And to anyone out there who needs to hear this, boundaries aren't mean, they're survival. Compassion doesn't mean setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. And if someone ever sends you a "you're not like other girls" text, my fellow sisters, run. Run fast. Also, I didn't post this to ask whether I'm in the wrong or to justify myself. I already know that what I did was what I needed for my own mental peace. He absolutely deserved every bit of my indifference. Think of this more as a little tea session, and let me know your thoughts. OP is NTA for blocking her so-called friend. Josh repeatedly ignored clear boundaries, stalked OP, emotionally drained her, and manipulated situations to gain sympathy. Blocking him was necessary for her peace. Setting boundaries isn't mean, it's self-preservation. His care was obsessive, not genuine. As for scores, I would rate OP 0 and OP's so-called friend 3.5 out of 5 on the scale. Let's now jump on to the next story from Dapper_Confidence 748. AITA for leaving my wife for my daughter's teacher? My 37M wife had an affair that led to 2 of my children not being biologically mine. The longest span was my son, who is 17. And I have 2 daughters who are 12 and 9 respectively. All my children decided they wanted to stay with me after our separation. My son, because despite not being biologically mine, I raised him and he doesn't want to live with my wife. Given what my wife did to me, I was in a pretty rough state. I became distant, morose, depressed, you name it. What kept me from being worse off were my children. But I would have been lying if I were to say I didn't need help or someone to be there, I guess. The kids rely on me, but who could I rely on? I had been together with my wife for 19 years since I was 18. I knew no one else. And both our friend groups were basically one, and when I found out what she did, I lost a lot of mine because they all kept it secret from me for so long. I was alone, and it was hard. I tried my best to put on a strong face for my kids. My son tried his best to help me, but he was a kid. I didn't want to put him in that position or burden him with my sorrows. Where this woman I met comes in is at my daughter's school, the youngest. She was having issues, being a troubled little girl which wasn't like her. So, I took time off to see the teacher to know what's going on. The teacher, who I'll call Dahlia, knew what was happening. My kids aren't the best at keeping things to themselves. Dahlia was very sweet, empathetic, pitiful, sympathizing. She asked how I was doing during our meeting while I tried to get things in order for my daughter. We didn't say much to each other than us both accepting that my daughter needs help. I gave her my number, to which I advised her to stay in contact, because I couldn't rely on my wife. We kept things casual for a while, all to do with my daughter and how she was handling things. She had several run-ins with my ex, which lead to a few awkward calls with her being close to the edge wanting to beat my wife, which I wished she had. I don't know how it escalated to where we talked about other things, but it did. We'd talk more often with the guise of it being for my daughter. Even after school, late nights we found ourselves texting and laughing at our sometimes unfunny jokes. I don't know when it happened, or how fast or slow it did. But Dahlia became my son. Whenever I found myself waking up, or going to the fridge to get a drink, or whatever it was, I had a smile on my face and my thoughts were about her. She became my moon during the nights, us tiredly texting each other into the late hours. Every morning dropping off my daughter and seeing her in the morning even among the kids, just made me want to pull her away into the closet and kiss her till we had to rush to not let anyone realize what was happening. And she had that same feeling, I could see it in her eyes. It eventually happened that the occasional holding her hand or bumping our shoulders casually lead to us sleeping together. I felt ashamed and embarrassed. It had only been 5 months since I separated from my wife. We laid in the dark room cuddled together after a passionate night and morning. She whispered in my ear if I regret it. I whispered back that I did. It shattered her and me admittedly. I thought our affair was over then and there, with the both of us leaving. We didn't text for a while. She went on mandatory leave from teaching for a while. I didn't see her in the mornings when I dropped off my daughter. My daughter asked if Dahlia was okay. I said I didn't know. Dahlia came to my house one night, where she lambasted me with emotional rage, which led to her exploding with rage and begging to know why I couldn't find solace in her if we both felt so empty without each other. I just kept repeating that it felt wrong and over again. She took my hands and put it on her stomach. With tears in her eyes she said she was pregnant. How she already knew I didn't ask, nor did I care much. I loved her, and I wanted to be with her. That's all I cared about. She knew I didn't care if it wasn't even mine just as long as I held her. Admittedly, my kids as well are affected by her emotional state. It's become normal for them to have her around, and they love her as well. We made love again that night, albeit slightly crazier than the last. And we kissed and touched and blinded our emotions all for each other. I woke up the next morning, which was rare that I slept that deep for that long. Dahlia was already up and making breakfast. My kids were excited that she was there, and she had to explain that she wasn't their new mom, but she wasn't their old mom either. But she will be having a baby soon, so she hoped that maybe they'd accept her being in their lives more. To my surprise, all my kids were ecstatic. They loved her and they loved the idea of most likely my daughter. So, it was even better. That's when it was placed in my head. They knew I wasn't their biological father, and then I realized that my youngest daughter knew as well. My kids knew. My wife was keeping that from me. What eventually led to me thinking about that also led to my wife finding out about Dahlia. She was heartbroken, and that led to my family also being angry with me. They don't know Dahlia is carrying my child. They don't know I'm moving in with her and making our home together. They don't know my children do know I am not their father. They do know apparently that I am the stubborn asshole who is leaving my wife, possibly ruining my children's lives for their teacher. OP is not the AH for leaving his wife, as she betrayed him deeply. However, moving on so quickly, especially with his daughter's teacher, makes it understandable why his family is upset. His actions are emotionally driven but not malicious. Whatever, OP is not an AH, rather OP's ex-wife is an AH for cheating on him, so I would rate her 3.5 out of 5 on the AH scale, and OP gets a 0. Let's now move on to the next story from Creature_Comforts 773. AITA for sending an unserious voice message to my friend's angry texts in my GC? My friend, who we will call Sam, 17M, and I, 19F, have been friends online for about a year now. We have, of course, never met in real life and aren't too close, but during some tough times, we called together in a big group chat almost every day during my first academic year at uni. We played a lot of games and also a lot of nerdy stuff like D&D and world building, but it all came to a head in late October, the weekend at the start of my midterm break. Since the end of the summer, Sam had already been antsy with me since we had been calling less and less as I got busy. The group chat went quieter as we all went back into education, but Sam steadily became more and more passive-aggressive towards me, getting mad at little things I did or said and making talking difficult in the group chat. I waved this off, however, as he has had tendencies to get angry before at things, and I trust him to cool off as he usually does, often snapping if someone asks if he's okay, like, "I'm fine. I'm literally fine," which sounds aggressive, but really all the other times I talk to him he's such a sweet friend, and we always made each other laugh. However, as Halloween drew closer and my holiday was starting, I started trying to call them more and more even when I was still busy, joining any group chat calls if they were on and chatting with them before having to leave again. Finally, one evening, it was my friend's birthday, and I was having pre-drinks at hers. I called them while she was in the bathroom after I was already quite drunk and chatted with them, being annoying and just having a laugh before leaving again as my friend came back. I thought it was all chill till I checked my phone to see Sam blowing up the group chat, accusing me of not caring about them and asking if I even liked them because I didn't give them any time. I already felt a bit weird over the texts and went to leave a voice message when my friend saw and started singing happy birthday into my phone. I joined her, finding it funny and hoping it would sort of lighten the mood, as they already knew I was drunk. However, my friend began to snap at me and yell at me in the group chat, saying I had abandoned them and cussing me out. I began to immediately apologize as I started to clock that this was serious, but he left the group chat right after. The rest of the party I was sat on my friend's couch completely silent with guilt, plus more emotional from the alcohol. I eventually went home early because I felt so sick. No one had messaged me as the night went on, everyone had seen what had happened in the group chat, but the only person who reached out to me was my friend, who we'll call Elton, who Sam accused me of abandoning them all for. This group chat had 7 people who I am all close with. However, in the end, I had to reach out to them directly to apologize if they had been feeling the same way, which they all said they didn't. For the next few weeks, I was an absolute mess as such a close support group suddenly seemed to disappear from my life. I watched as they all continued to call and play games with Sam as if nothing had happened, not message me once but also reply saying they're on good terms with me after I had been repeatedly messaging them all worriedly as my mental health began to spiral rapidly, and I grew extremely paranoid and depressed. It had been 2 weeks since I messaged Sam after someone advised I give him space. I reached out again when my break ended, and he eventually responded saying he was ready to talk. I apologized thoroughly to him for making him feel so abandoned and isolated, but also wrote how he had hurt me by not communicating clearly and healthily, and also talked behind my back to Elton after he snapped at me, saying I didn't put effort into the friendship. However, when Sam did reply, his responses were short and dismissive, asking to just move on and already sending casual gifs as if we had never fallen out. At this point, I didn't know how to feel. I started to fawn a little, while also trying to keep a bit of a backbone as I asked to talk more, but even when he agreed and we did, he didn't change his replies, even when I asked for more. In the end, I gave up and just decided to accept what he did and suck it up since I didn't want to lose our friendship. But now he's making side comments about it and snarky jokes that have honestly made me cry so many times now because he just doesn't seem to ever care. My other close friend in the group chat is defending him whenever I try to talk to him about it, trying to tell me to drop it and giving me all these excuses for him, even when I admitted to him, I have been worse mentally than I have been in years. I don't know what to do anymore. I want to move past this, but it feels like whenever I engage with them casually, they don't like me. AITA. This is obviously missing a lot of details and other things friends had to say, but any advice would be appreciated. If this gets some traction, I will add updates and more information. However, I'm too tired to write more and didn't proofread this at all. P.S. If anyone from this drama finds this, I'm so sorry. I don't know what else to do, and I don't want to lose our friendship. OP is not the AH but is stuck in a toxic friendship. Sam's passive-aggressive behavior, guilt-tripping, and dismissiveness are unfair. OP tried apologizing and making amends, but Sam refuses to communicate healthily. OP deserves supportive friends, not emotional manipulation. As for scores, I would rate Sam 2.5 out of 5 on the scale, and OP gets nothing. Let's now jump on to the next story from budget_progress_4789. AITA for kicking out my 21F boyfriend, 22M, out even though he'll be homeless? Okay, so basically I live with my ex-boyfriend. We just broke up a week ago and before all of the incidents listed below. And recently in this past month there have been 3 events where he got blackout drunk, and the first time he threatened to kill himself and watched OnlyFans girls all night and did whip pits. The second time he hit me, and then I threatened to tell his probation officer that he was drinking if he didn't leave me and my friend alone. He then called 911 and reported a domestic violence problem because he was mad. I was threatening to tell his probation, I guess. In between the call and the cops showing up, he hopped the balcony railing and threatened to kill himself and held a lit lighter to the carpet, threatening to burn the apartment down. The cops show up and they see red marks on my arms, and I lied to them and said he never hit me. He gets arrested for violating his probation, but he comes back the next morning. The third incident, he took a bunch of Xanax and drank a bunch of alcohol and acted out at his family dinner, and his family members were texting me because they were concerned for my safety. I get home from work and he's not home. I call him and he's slurring his words while driving. He shows up at the apartment and he rushes to the bathroom, and I try to follow him and ask how he's doing, but he slams a door in my face. Then he proceeds to talk terribly about his family and friends as well as my mother and father. He texted everyone he loved and told them to go F themselves and to never contact him again. To this day, his best friend still has him blocked. Then I was trying to fix the situation and he owed me money, so I asked to see his bank records. He's owed me money the entire time we've lived here and I've been the only one to pay bills on time. He showed me and I grabbed his phone. Then he attacked me for his phone back. He grabbed me and he stepped on my feet. From that moment, I knew there was something deeper going on here. A few nights after this, he was asleep on the couch and his phone was unlocked. So, I look. He was texting girls on Reddit about sending them money and how he's into race play. Like, WTF. He was subscribed to all these porn subreddits and DMing a bunch of girls with requests and offers for money. This has been going on since August, and we moved in on September 10th. We set a boundary early in the relationship, and we agreed that porn is cheating. So, then a week goes by and I ask him to actually see his bank statements since he attacked me for his phone the first time. He finally shows me and I see hundreds of dollars spent on OnlyFans. I gave him so many chances to be honest with me and he kept hiding it. I asked to see his bank all week and he tried telling me he switched banks. He tried telling me they logged him out and he forgot the password. So many excuses. In the past few months, we had a lot of good times and he just had this major secret hidden from me. It's a slap in the face. I clean, I do the laundry, I cook, I pay for all the groceries. I always make sure that bills are paid on time even if he doesn't have the money, and I always supported him and was always there for him. Now he's begging for me back. This morning, he was crying to me in the kitchen as I was trying to clean. He said that I don't understand what it's like to have no one. He's even using the times where I've been nice against me. He always tries to talk to me and he starts off super nice, like trying to take me to dinner or to go out, but when I don't feed in, he starts to get aggressive. He says that this is fixable, but I just feel so violated. I keep telling him that it's my decision to end the relationship, but he just gives all these excuses. I've been responsible for all of the bills and chores and I just want him to leave. However, we've already discussed this and he has nowhere to go. He would have to live in his car. But I don't want to live with someone that looked me in the eyes every day when he couldn't make ends meet, and he chose to not tell me this huge secret when I made up for his lack of paying bills. I thought he was just struggling, so I helped him, but he was actually just throwing money away. Even on the first day of us living here, he was $300 short and I had to cover it. I did the math. I can pay rent on my own. He also hit me not too long ago and the police came. I was thinking of telling them the truth, so he has to leave. So, AITA for kicking my boyfriend out even though he'll be homeless? OP is absolutely not the AH. Her ex is abusive, manipulative, and reckless. She's not responsible for his poor choices or homelessness. His actions make him unsafe to live with. OP must prioritize her safety and well-being. Let's now jump on to the next story from visible_caregiver 790. AITA for letting my little sister live with me because she is no contact with our mother? I, 26F, am the oldest out of my other two siblings. My little brother is 22 and my little sister is 18, almost 19. My father isn't in the picture. Unfortunately, he passed away. All of us have a very complicated relationship with our mother. I'm not going to expose family trauma right now, so no details are going to be shared, but just know it has been very bad at certain points. Without knowing details, it's slightly hard to explain, but just know there are definitely reasons why she is the way she is. They certainly don't excuse her behavior, but they do explain it to a certain extent. There has been a lot of work on her end to become a better mother and just in general still a better person, but she still has her moments. She can be controlling to a concerning extent, and my relationship with her especially was very rocky. Growing up, moving out, and getting away from her as well as her perusing therapy very much helped our relationship. I went from very limited, almost no contact with her to having an actual connection with her. It took a lot, but generally speaking I think she was a much better mother to my little sister than she ever was to me or even my brother. Keeping this information in mind, at 4 a.m. almost 4 months ago at this point, I got a call from my little sister who at the time still lived with her. She was sobbing, having a total breakdown, begging me to come get her because she couldn't be near our mother right now and something really bad happened. I didn't even need to hear any more or even know what happened. I immediately drove over, ignored any other my mother's protests while packing some of my sister's clothes and items into a bag, while she waited in the car, and brought her to my place. We didn't talk about it that night. My sister was a mess, but the next morning she explained what had happened to me. Again, I'm not sharing extreme details because it's just not necessary, but unfortunately based on the trigger warning I'm sure you can guess. My sister snuck out to go to her best friend's birthday party, which my mother did not want her going to. At said party my sister was assaulted, which I did help her take it to the police to pursue legal action for anyone concerned. When my sister got back home after this, an absolute mess needing support and guidance after this awful thing just happened, our mother yelled at her. My sister told her what happened and she didn't believe her and was disgusted that she would make something like that up, just to try to get out of trouble. My sister had developed the habit of telling small lies to our mother, never about serious things, and I'm going to be honest, all of us did it. Sometimes with her it was just easier to hide things rather than dealing with her. My sister is just an awful liar and would get caught. Obviously, considering what had just happened, my sister couldn't calm down and called me. In the time it took me to get there, my mother had figured out my sister was telling the truth, which I will mention was very fast because I don't even know how I managed to get there that quickly. She was now also sobbing and apologizing because she couldn't believe that she would ever accuse my sister of something like that. She was acting on pure instinct out of fear and wasn't thinking straight. I will admit, seeing my mother there that night, she was definitely having some sort of trauma response. We've seen them before and it's not pretty. As I mentioned before, this was almost 4 months ago now. My sister has moved in with me, she's settled with her own room as happy as possible, and honestly, I enjoy living with her again. Luckily, I'm in a unique position where I am able to support her with no issues. Also, luckily, I had actually just moved when this all happened and had yet to give my mother my new address, so our mother doesn't know where she is currently besides that she is with me. This is a good thing because my sister wants absolutely no contact with our mother, and I respect that. My sister has given me permission to update our mother on how my sister is doing, and that she's safe, but that is all she needs to know. To be honest, at the moment that's the only thing I've said to our mother because I'm not exactly wanting to talk with her right now, and neither does my brother after he was told what happened. Our mother is in bad shape. My aunt is giving my updates on her. She feels guilty about how she reacted in that situation, and it's tearing her apart apparently. This whole incident has put her back into a pretty bad mindset. She's back in therapy once a week currently, and desperately wants to apologize to my sister. My sister doesn't want to hear her apology right now, which I think is fair. My whole family besides my brother thinks that although my sister has the right to not want contact with her, I should at least encourage her to have one conversation with her so my mother can give her a genuine apology so they can both start to heal from what happened. I told them respectfully they need to back off, and if they don't respect both her and my choices, I will go limited contact with them as well because my sister has enough to process on her own right now, let alone our mother. AITA in this situation? Should I listen to my family and encourage this? At the end of the day, know that I will never force her to have contact with our mother ever. Plus, that she has a place with me no matter what. The only reason why I'm even considering it is because maybe getting an apology from our mother might help my sister process at least that part of what happened. OP is not an AH for letting her sister live with her, as she is prioritizing her sister's well-being. Their mother's guilt is not her sister's responsibility. What do the Mac Reddit fans think? Is the OP an AH or not? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like the stories I brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to Mac Reddit for a daily dose. Bye bye, see you tomorrow with some more spicy fries.